Hey guys, Braden Morrow here. If you're a high performing Christian and you've struggled with losing weight only to gain it all back, by the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to combat this without restrictive dieting. I'm sure you've heard the term strict diet. I am on a strict diet, which is restrictive. We want to reframe that from restrictive to having boundaries in place because what restriction does to us, that entails cutting out entire food groups. So maybe you're hopping on some sort of diet bandwagon that's going around right now. I believe keto and carnivore is one of the biggest ones right now. So you're cutting out all carbohydrates, all a bunch of foods that you likely love and enjoy, which makes it so much harder to stick to. If I'm gonna make a repair in my house, let's just say on, I don't know, let's just say I'm gonna repair all of the doorknobs. I'm gonna replace them all. If you hand me a power tool and a screwdriver, I'm likely gonna go with the power tool because it's more efficient and I'm not going to get burnt out after changing a couple of doorknobs. Another mistake that you're likely making is severely cutting your calories down and putting yourself in a severe calorie deficit from the get-go. Fat loss is a marathon, it's not a sprint. Yes, there is a time and place to sprint and get after it, but we never want to sprint too hard for too long, which is another reason why you're likely gaining that weight back because one, you're being so restrictive by cutting food groups out, and two, you're severely restricting your calories, making it so much harder to sustain over the long haul. This is leading to mental and physical fatigue building up over time that is enabling you from continuing to move forward, and you're unable to rely on willpower at this point because you're so burnt out. This is restrictive dieting. Welcome to it. Maybe you're in a place where you're feeling hopeless and every attempt that you take at weight loss, you fear that you're going to gain all this weight back. You also fear that, oh, well, I got to stay away from these certain foods. These are forbidden foods. I can't have these foods. They're bad for me. And you have to abide by all of these strict rules in order to stay in shape. And I'm here to tell you the good news is that it doesn't require that. So if you're constantly hungry and you're having these cravings and you're feeling so restrictive and you have such a horrible mindset with food and you want to have freedom and enjoy food without guilt, without obsession, you want to be able to walk into any room no matter what food is presenting itself in front of you and have control over the temple, I'm going to show you exactly how you can overcome this and reframe your mindset. Number one, stop eliminating entire food groups. This is not necessary at all. Elimination diets where you eliminate entire food groups, those are meant to treat illnesses or rare conditions for a temporary period of time and then trickle food back in. And unfortunately, in the fitness industry, we have these influencers who they swear by it. They will die on a hill and say that this is the way everybody should do this. This is how humans are meant to eat. Listen, if it came from an animal, eat it. If it was grown from the ground, eat it. That's the food that God gave us. Now, if you have some sort of food allergies, then that's an exception, right? But other than that, you do not need to cut out entire food groups. This is not necessary, so don't jump on any of these bandwagons anymore. So when you're building out a meal, prioritize not only nutrient-dense foods, but build the meal around protein. I would write a list right now of all of the foods that you enjoy in these categories: protein, carbs, and fats. Write those out and start building meals out based off of what you enjoy. Number two is shift your mindset from restrictions to boundaries. Restrictions implies that we don't have freedom. And the Bible's clear. We're inherently rebellious and we want to rebel. So when you put a boundary in place, it's a lot easier to say no. So anytime you're presented with the food that maybe you don't need to eat at that time, let's just say that you've consumed all of your meals for the day and you go to, let's just say a party where we're watching a football game, we're watching the Dallas Cowboys, and there's pizza, there's beer, there's wings, there's crackers, and somebody asks you like, hey, are you going to have some? Never say, I can't have that. That's bad for me. I can't have that stuff. Don't kid yourself. You just made it a lot harder to say no. Instead of saying, I can't have these things, you simply say, no, I'm okay. No, I'm good. I'm okay right now. What you just did is you said, hey, I can still have that. I'm just choosing not to right now. Versus saying, I can't, I'm going to rebel against that. Do not kid yourself. The Bible's clear. We're inherently rebellious. And when we put labels on food and say that's bad and we demonize them, when we say I can't, you're making yourself want it more. So instead of saying I can't, simply say, no, I'm okay. I'm good. And lastly, practice flexible nutrition. Now, I'm a big advocate of eating primarily wholesome foods. I do believe that at least 80% of your diet should consist of primarily wholesome foods, like a potato is a potato, strawberry, chicken breast is chicken breast, eggs and eggs, single ingredient foods. That should be the majority of your diet. However, I am a big advocate of flexible dining as well. I don't think there's anything wrong with having some of the treats in moderation. And we shouldn't make these a big deal either. It's not something that we should look forward to and obsess over throughout our week. This is another trap that a lot of people get caught into is the weekends, right? I've got other videos on that. But where I'm getting at with that is that majority of food that you're eating should be wholesome, it should be nutrient dense, but there's nothing wrong with having treats in moderation. And with this moderation, it allows you to have these occasional indulgences without the added guilt. And the good news is you're also staying healthy and you're also reaching your weight loss goals. So there you have it. If you're struggling with restrictive dieting, number one, stop cutting out entire food groups. Number two, reframe your mindset from restrictive to having boundaries in place. And lastly, enjoy your treats in moderation. If you are a high performing Christian and you would like more assistance in your weight loss journey, feel free to book a consultation in with me. We'll discuss where you're at currently and ultimately where you're trying to go and come up with a game plan for that. Thank you guys for watching this video. Stay healthy and God bless.